Hello children, let us start chapter 12 of your history book, that is Aurangzeb. So let me tell you something about Aurangzeb. He was the last important ruler of the Mughal Dynasty, born on 24th of October 1618 in Madhya Pradesh. Although he was born to a biggest dynasty, but he had a very shrewd behavior, and having a shrewd behavior, he wanted to defeat everyone, and his ultimate aim was to become the king of the Indian subcontinent. He defeated Dara Shikoh, he defeated Shuja, he defeated his brother Murad, and also he had put his own father Shah Jahan into exile. When Shah Jahan was in last days, Aurangzeb, in a very shrewd way, defeated Dara Shikoh, shaking hands with Murad. He defeated Shuja, and ultimately at the end he defeated Murad too, and crowned himself to be the next king of the Indian subcontinent, and put his father into exile. Although Mughal dynasty was one of the biggest dynasty of the Indian subcontinent, which wrote glorious history in golden pages, yet it had a downfall, and ultimately this downfall had a combination of reasons, and Aurangzeb's shrewd policy was a very big reason behind it. Because of Aurangzeb's shrewd policy and shrewd behavior, there was a lot of disunity among the people. Disunity was a very big reason for the downfall of the dynasty. Let us start with the rise of the Marathas. The Marathas rose because of Aurangzeb's shrewd policy under the guidance of Shivaji Rao. Shivaji Rao was a giant Maratha, and under him people were getting the common Maratha identity. Shivaji taught the meaning of unity in strength. By 1691, the Marathas had become strong enough and rose up as to be the rebellion groups against the Mughals. The Marathas fought in guerrilla warfare technique and were never completely subdued by Aurangzeb. That is, Aurangzeb could never control the Marathas completely. They even ravaged, or you can say conquered, the countryside and went as far as Mysore in the south, Bengal in the east, Delhi in the north. The Maratha conquest accelerated the disintegration of the empire. As they were conquesting many and many conquerors day by day, because of that the empire was getting disintegrated. Mughals also had a tough time because of Aurangzeb's conflict with the Sikhs. The early Mughals did not have any conflicts till the 1675 CE, but after the persecution, the death of the fifth Guru by Aurangzeb's father Shah Jahan, the Sikhs became defiant and revengeful. This revenge became very wilder when the Sikhs' ninth Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, was beheaded under Aurangzeb's order. The Sikhs became giant, revengeful, and wanted to avenge the Guru's sacrifice, and under the guidance of Guru Gobind Singh, they fought against the Mughals. It was during this period when Guru Gobind Singh laid the foundation of the Khalsa Panth. Aurangzeb even killed the 4 sons of Guru Gobind Singh and decimated the Sikh army. In order to show off his victory, Aurangzeb had invited Guru Gobind Singh to Ahmednagar, but Before the Guru could arrive, Aurangzeb himself died. Let us put some light on Aurangzeb's relation with the Rajputs. As similar to the Sikhs, the early Mughals had better relations with the Rajputs, but again, because of Aurangzeb's shrewd behavior, Aurangzeb gave all the kinds of friendly relations with the Rajputs, making them his enemies. There were wars against the Rajputs, which damaged the prestige of the Mughals. Aurangzeb lost all the goodwill with the Hindus. Undermining the ideas of Akbar, he reimposed the jizya and the pilgrimage tax, which had hurt the religious content of the Hindus. This spread discontentment throughout the empire. Aurangzeb had to spend lots of time in crushing the revolts of the Rajputs. Let us now see the reason of the rise of the Marathas. The Marathas rose under the leadership of Shivaji Rao, who was a famous Maharashtra king. He was successful in expanding his kingdom and organized a very efficient administration system. His administration was a benevolent one. He divided the whole kingdom into provinces, and the provinces were further divided into districts and had villages under them, and each sector had its own head. In the revenue system, the land in every village was measured and the produce was roughly assessed, and only on the basis of this assessment the cultivators, the farmers, had to pay the tax, that is 40% of the total revenue. That is, on the basis of their produce only they have to pay 40%. Shivaji had introduced a regular standing army which composed of cavalry, infantry, artillery and navy. He introduced the act of guerrilla warfare, that was a sudden and swift attack, not giving any time to the enemies and taking them off guard. The army had to follow a strict moral code of conduct during a campaign, that they will not do any harm to the mosque, they will not harm any women, and they will not put any harm to any book of the gods. It was estimated that Shivaji was a born leader. He elevated himself from Jagirdar, he was from Jagirdar category, and became a Chhatrapati. He challenged the Mughals, but although he was very benevolent soldier, he was deeply a religious person. Shivaji was an ardent follower of teachings of Bhakti saints, you can say of Ramdas and Tukaram, and extremely religious tolerant, as he believed in faith towards God. He also had a faith in Muslim saints and Christian monks too. Let us see some facts about Aurangzeb's Deccan states. Aurangzeb also tried hard to conquer the Bijapur and Golconda towards the Deccan, and however 3 decades passed before Aurangzeb geared himself for the annexation of these kingdoms. Moving on next, because of the continuous conquest and independent rise of the independent communities, you can say, of the Marathas, the Rajputs, the Sikhs, it influenced the Jats, the Satnamis and the Bundelas also to rise in rebellion against Aurangzeb. And because of this, ultimately the empire collapsed and it disintegrated, and thus the British further ruled in our country for the next 200 years. So that is all in the slide for this chapter. Children, I hope you will refer your book for further queries. Thank you, children.